Good evening, America. My name is Walter Cronkite, famous news broadcaster in the 1960s and 70s. Welcome to 1969, one of the wildest years in modern history. Tonight we'll cover wars, protests, music, disaster, murder, television, sports, and the mankind's first landing on the moon. So buckle up, because this year changed America forever. Our first stop will take us to July 20th, 1969, where we will witness the Apollo 11 moon mission successfully land on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here.
Oh, geez, that's great. Is the lighting halfway decent?
Yes, indeed. They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar.
In 1969, Richard Nixon officially became the 37th President of the United States. He entered the office during one of the most divided times in American history. The Vietnam War was raging, protests were growing, and many Americans wanted stability. Nixon promised to restore law and order and eventually end American involvement in the Vietnam War. Not everyone trusted him, but millions hoped he could calm the country down. By 1969, millions of Americans were protesting the Vietnam War. People marched in cities, protested on college campuses, and demanded for the government to bring American soldiers home. Many Americans believed the war was too violent, too expensive, and impossible to win, and otherwise pointless. The protests revealed how deeply divided the American country had become during this time, and it really started to show the cracks in the American government in the face of this war. In the midst of all of this, young people escaped to politics for music at Woodstock. Over 400,000 people gathered in New York for a giant music festival focused on peace, love, and counterculture. Artists like Jimi Hendrix performed while crowds camped in mud, rain, and total chaos. Some people called it a disaster, but others saw it as a defining moment for hippie culture in 1969. In January 1969, the Beatles gave their final public performance during their famous rooftop concert in London. The band had completely transformed music and culture during the 1960s. They influenced fashion, hairstyles, attitudes, and the entire music industry. And by the end of 1969, the greatest band in the world was beginning to fall apart. Now please enjoy the Beatles' final rooftop performance.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Nobody ever loved me like she does. Ooh, she does. Yes, she does. And if somebody loved me like she does, oh, she does. Yes, she does. Don't let
In
me.
June 1969, police raided the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in New York City. But instead of staying silent, people fought back. The protests lasted several days and became known as the Stonewall Riots. The event inspired the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement and became a major turning point in American history. Anti-war activists known as the Chicago Eight were put on trial after protests in 1968 Democratic Convention became violent. The government accused them of starting riots and causing chaos, but many Americans believed that the trial was politically motivated. The case became a symbol of the glowing conflict between protesters and the government during the 1960s. But Americans were even more shocked when the news spread about the My Lai massacre during the Vietnam War. U.S. soldiers had killed hundreds of Vietnamese civilians, including women and children. When Americans learned the truth, public trust in the war dropped even further. Many people began questioning what was really happening in Vietnam overseas. Now for something less terrifying. In 1969, Sesame Street premiered on television. It used music, puppets, and humor to teach children reading, math, and social skills. The show was revolutionary because it offered a diverse cast of characters and educational programming from all backgrounds. And honestly, at this point, Big Bird is more trustable as a politician than the politicians.
Hey, Bird, can you bring me a bar of soap?
Yeah.
Yeah, just toss it into old Rosie here.
What?
The salt. Just toss it into Rosie here.
Who's Rosie?
My bathtub. I call my bathtub Rosie.
Ernie, why do you call your bathtub Rosie?
What's that?
I said, why do you call your bathtub Rosie?
Because every time I take a bath, I leave a ring around Rosie.
Ernie, get out of the tub.
How come?
Well, because there are a lot of people waiting to take a bath, that's why.
Take a bath?
Yeah,
In my Rosie?
right.
Who?
Well, Solomon Grundy, for one.
But 1969 also had a darker side. Charles Manson led a cult called the Manson family, whose members committed brutal murders that shocked the nation. The crimes terrified Americans and damaged the peaceful image the 1960 counterculture movement had tried to create. People began to fear the era of peace and love was falling apart. Moving away from music and pop culture, Hurricane Camille slammed into the Gulf Coast in 1969 as one of the strongest hurricanes in American history. It caused massive flooding, destroyed homes, and killed hundreds of people. The storm showed just how destructive nature could be. On the topic of natural disasters and the unpredictability of nature, in 1969, a river literally caught on fire. The Cuyahoga River in Ohio became so polluted with oil and chemicals that it burst into flames. Americans were horrified. The disaster helped inspire environmental movements and eventually led to stronger pollution laws in the country. And now sports. The New York Mets shocked everyone by winning the 1969 World Series. They had been terrible for years, so their victory became known as the Miracle Mets. Nobody expected them to win, serving as a staple landmark in New York baseball history. Circling back to the Vietnam War, in 1969 the government introduced the Vietnam Draft Lottery. Birthdays were randomly selected to determine which young men would be sent to war. For many Americans, the lottery became terrifying. One number could completely change your future and send you to Vietnam, where you could never come back. In more optimistic news, in October 1969, millions of Americans participated in the moratorium to end the war in Vietnam. It became one of the largest anti-war demonstrations in American history. People gathered peacefully across the country demanding an end to the war. The protest proves that Americans were no longer united about Vietnam, and everyone wanted it to end. And there you have it. That was 1969, a year of moon landings, protests, music, violence, revolution, and change. The world watched humanity step onto the moon, while Americans struggled with conflicts here on Earth. Live from 1969, I'm Walter Cronkite. Good night.